it's me, Katie. Welcome back to Steal the Spotlight. Back in early 2021, I actually did a really fun video where I was trying different anime, fashion, DIY TikToks, and I was surprised by how much I loved everything I made, especially the Misa Amane jacket. I mean, come on, one of the best pieces in my wardrobe to date. You probably don't remember, but in that video,
flashback,
a Cricut easy press, that's definitely going on my wish list. Kindly enough, they reached back out and said, hey, we'd love to send you one. We can collaborate on another video if you're interested. And yes, obviously I am, hence we're here getting our creative juices flowing once again. Also, I thought this would be a good opportunity to just chat about anime. Some parts of the process can be kind of time consuming, and it would be nice for me to have someone to talk to. So I asked you guys over on Instagram to send in any questions. So I think we should just get into it. Okay, I thought I'd give you a quick breakdown of what tools I'm going to be using. Of course, I have my trusty little Cricut maker, literally my best friend whenever I'm feeling in the arts and craft mood. With this particular model, there are so many possibilities, but since we are doing some clothing DIYs today, I'm mostly sticking to iron-on transfers, which of course is where my new little friend, the Cricut Easy Press 2, comes into the mix. This has really given me peace of mind that my projects are actually going to last the test of time now, since it's distributing an even amount of heat across the entire transfer. Plus, by using the corresponding app, it takes the guesswork out of things as well. Oh, and of course, not to forget about the Cricut design space. This is where I'm going to be uploading my images today, but you can also choose from the hundreds of designs they already have ready to go and get some inspiration for other projects you might want to try. If you're in Australia like me, my favorite place to shop for Cricut is at Spotlight, either online or in store, but I'll leave a list so hopefully you can find your most convenient stockist. The first piece I want to get into is just a plain black mini skirt, literally the definition of a blank canvas. We could go in so many different directions with this, but there's actually two different looks that I've seen on Pinterest that I want to kind of combine. I think I'm gonna go for Nana. Probably no surprise there. Actually, on TikTok, I did one of those videos that are like things I could talk about for hours, and top of the list, I put people putting Nana Osaki on a pedestal while slandering Hachi. And actually, one of the questions you guys sent in was, who do you think treats the people around them worse, Nana or Hachi? I think I've answered that question. I just feel like she's the more selfish character, and although Hachi also is selfish, she becomes more self-aware of it and tries to work on it and better herself. And even when she is selfish, she still is very caring of those around her and treats everyone nicely. Whereas Nana, I feel like she treats Yasu like shit, she treats Nobu like shit, Shin, Hachi. Literally, she just uses everyone and only cares about how their actions are gonna affect her. So, you know, I'm just not really vibing with it. Okay, cutting in briefly to be a little bit more precise. Once I've got the image saved as a PNG, I'm going to head over to the Cricut design space, upload it there. You're going to want to measure out how big you want the character on your skirt and then adjust it accordingly in the app. It's then time to pick and prep your material. I'm using everyday iron-on, which means I'm going to make sure it's shiny side down on my cutting mat. And also in the app, when you get to this confirmation page, you need to change the preferences to have mirror image on. This is really important for any iron-on projects because if you skip this step, it will be back to front. Once all your prep work's done, all you have to do is hit load and then go and sit back, relax, watch the magic happen. Once it's finished cutting, you hit that same button to unload. This next part is easy but time consuming, just removing all of the excess material until you're just left with the cutout. Another question I thought would make sense to answer here and definitely got me thinking was, what characters do you feel like deserved better? And 100% Shin fits into this. Bruh, literally 15 years old. How did all the adults around him drop the ball so badly? You know how people say like there's characters you simp for and then there's characters that are like your sons? This is one of those characters. Actually, that's a good question as well. Let me know who would be on your list of like anime children. For me, Reki from Skate the Infinity, Mafia from Given, Kazutora from Tokyo Revengers, Gosheki from Haikyuu. Pretty much anyone who I look at and feel like they need a hug is gonna go on my children list. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, that just completely derailed the original question of characters who deserved better. And there's actually two shows that come to mind where a large portion of the cast probably deserved better, and that's gotta be Fruits Basket and Banana Fish. If I really just had to pick one character from each, I'm gonna go with Ashlinks, and then from Fruits Basket, I'm kind of leaning towards saying Momiji, but yeah, obviously all of them deserved better. Which, by the way, who is your favorite Fruits Basket character? So the time has come to see the Easy Press in action. Like I mentioned, they have a corresponding app. All you do is select which cricut material you used, as well as the material of the garment you're trying to adhere it to. Once it has that info, it pops up with the guidelines for this particular project, including what temperature to set your Easy Press to, as well as how long it needs to be held there. As someone with an anxious personality, this is my savior. I used to be so stressed out that right at the end, the last hurdle, I was gonna stuff up the entire project by overheating it, underheating it, not having an even spread so little bits were peeling up. As you can see though, I no longer need to worry about that. All it requires is some light pressure and it does the rest for you. You could totally stop here once you reach that satisfying moment of peeling back the plastic and being left with your beautiful character design. But as a maximalist, I wanted to add a bit of flair to the other side as well. I took this leather eyelet trimming and attached it in a slight diagonal from the bottom of the belt loop. It felt a little bit lopsided to me, so I felt I needed to introduce some white, and I did so through these cute little ribbons. I really like that juxtaposition of something more cute or girly, teamed up with something that might be considered more edgy, hence the safety pins. Now, I'm not usually one to gas myself up, but you cannot tell me this doesn't look like a professional job. If I saw this for sale, I would 100% be dropping some money on it. And honestly, I'm not even a crafty gal, but I don't have to be. Cricut literally has it all covered for me, so it takes minimal brain power, but the output is always gonna look pro. I'm sure a lot of you have also noticed that ties have been a really popular accessories trend over the last 6 months or so, and I've also really been enjoying them, but I thought it'd be cool to kind of personalize it a little bit. So I've got a few options here. I feel like picking the right tie is very much a Goldilocks sort of situation. This one is a little bit too long. This one is a little bit too thin. This one is just right. And the reason I originally gravitated towards this one is because the color palette, the yellow and blue, totally reminded me of Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen. Obviously his tie is more of an animal print situation, so if you wanted to order that specifically, I think that would look awesome as well. But I just picked mine up from the op shop because they literally have hundreds there and they're only $2. It's actually kind of hard to find a good reference image from official art because when you search his name, it just comes up with so much fan art. Like literally the suggestions are Nanami Kento fan art 18 plus, Nanami Kento daddy. Like, I don't know what that says, but it probably answers this question. Okay, once I finally found an image I was happy with and converted it to PNG, I was just playing around with whether I wanted to go for a black or white vinyl or potentially even layer them. I ended up playing it safe though and went for black. From there, literally just followed the exact same steps as before, uploading to Design Space, readjusting the size, turning mirror image on, and loading that bad boy up to go about its business. Which of course brings us back to the somewhat tedious but satisfying weeding process. I had a lot of questions asking for show recommendations for people who are new to anime, and I've noticed that a lot of new fans' entryway was actually through Demon Slayer, so perhaps that would be a good idea. For me personally, it wouldn't be my top recommendation just because I found it kind of boring. Like the first season drags a little bit for me. It didn't grip me in. I do think that out of like the new shonen era, Jujutsu Kaisen would be a better entryway. If you're trying to get someone who's not very open-minded to anime into it, I actually think that Moriarty the Patriot would be a really good option. Obviously most people are already familiar with like the Sherlock Holmes sort of theme, so it's something that's not too far outside someone's comfort zone. Plus it's really good. I think Erased would be another good one, especially since it's only 12 episodes, so you can just like binge it, get it done. Really it's just going to depend on the preferences the person already has. Like are they looking for something lighthearted, romance, action, comedy, you know what I mean? There's definitely something for everyone. If it's someone who's already a bit more open-minded to anime, I think 3 really good options depending on the genre you want to go for would be Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Attack on Titan, or Fruits Basket. I don't know, I feel like this is the sort of one where we could help each other out in the comments. What shows would you recommend for anime newbies? My personal bias always comes into it, like Bungo Stray Dogs or Haikyuu. Actually, a lot of you were also asking just for my favorite anime, so I guess that starts off our list. Bungo Stray Dogs, Haikyuu. Also right up there would be Noragami, hands down. And y'all are gonna call me basic for this one, but my favorite shoujo is Kamisama Kiss. Something I feel like people get twisted sometimes when they take things a little bit too seriously, perhaps, is that they cannot distinguish between what they think is a good show and what is someone's favorite show. Like for me, the two 9 times out of 10 are not going to equal each other, because my favorites often is just dumb shit, you know what I'm saying? An example of that would definitely be Black Clover, literally one of my favorites. I love that show. People shit on it all the time. I don't care. I'm not arguing that it's the best show ever. I'm just telling you I enjoyed it. And on the flip side of that, there's definitely some shows that I haven't enjoyed that would be considered quite popular. Should I just drop like my unpopular opinions? I think you guys already know I wasn't a fan of Bunny Girl Senpai. I didn't like Rising of the Shield Hero. I don't like Seven Deadly Sins. I feel like the one I definitely would be crucified for though was I didn't like Dr. Stone. I don't know, man, just not my cup of tea, but I can see why people enjoy it. So after finishing off the weeding process, it was time to heat back up my easy press and consult with the app for my guidelines. The only thing different in my process this time was before ironing it on, I actually had to trim it up. Obviously the tie isn't a standard sort of shape, so I had a little bit of excess to get rid of. Other than that, it was the same seamless process and it turned out just as cool. I think this is a really great, more subtle merch idea, especially if ties fit in with your current aesthetic. What could be better than hot girl tote bag? Customize hot girl tote bag. I've got my blank canvas here and the vision is to have a cricut cutout along one side, and then the other side I have various sized badges that I'm also going to do a cricut cutout onto. Literally the hardest part of this was deciding which characters were worthy to make it onto the bag. So I ended up deciding on Finral, y'all know I love him, Jalil Fernandez, aka my first ever anime crush, and still to this day one of my favorites. After a few failed attempts to get the perfect Tomo and Nanami image, I finally got one. And also, if you guys like Kamisama Kiss as well, I would totally recommend watching Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. I recently watched it and absolutely fell in love. It's so good. I really like that we got to see a bit of all the characters rather than just always focusing on the main romance. Can you guess which character I've chosen from Yona of the Dawn? No. Wrong. I picked J-Ha. That's my boy. I know pretty much everyone who watches that show falls in love with Hawk, and I get it, I can see it, but it just wasn't for me. And you know what? My toxic trait is I would have just stayed with Suwon. I wouldn't have even left, so I don't know what that says about me. Wait. Did you really think I wouldn't sneak a Haikyuu character on here? No, of course not. It was hard to choose though. I ended up going for Atsumu, and I did receive a lot of Haikyuu related questions. There were a few about favorite ships or just platonic pairings in general, and platonically just Shiro Torizawa as a whole. They're my favorite team pretty much because in my eyes it seems like all of them would just be like outcast loners in everyday life, but then they come together and form this amazing team. And as someone who has really bad social anxiety and feels as though they have never been able to fit in, that just really resonates with me. As far as favorite ships go, yes, I love Sakuatsu, but you know, I don't take anything too seriously, which is extremely evident through the fact that you could tell me a ship with Sugawara and literally anyone and I would probably agree to it. I don't know why, but I feel like he works with literally everyone. And then I remember that I low-key kin him and start to question everything. As far as who I'd want to be friends with, Tendo, obviously, but also the Seijo third years, particularly just Matsun and Maki. I think that would be such a good time. But I'd love to know what characters you guys kind of associate me with and who you think I would be friends with in the show. Since we do have a couple of shoujo characters on here, I thought we would discuss it. Yes, I do love shoujo, but honestly, for like the first 5 years of me watching anime, I pretty much solely stuck to shonen, very much had the taste of a 12-year-old boy. And because I was kind of late to the party, I feel like I don't really have any hidden gems to share with you. Like, I've probably seen what most people have seen, but I wanted to give a shout out to Colleen over on TikTok because thanks to her, I've been reading so much shoujo manga recently. And I don't know why, but I feel like reading it is just working better for me than watching it in anime form. And she has the best recommendations. Like, my reading list is never running out. Once I had my iron on ready to go, I just confirmed the placement and then followed the exact same steps as the previous 2 projects. Where we're going to switch things up though is with the badges. Obviously this isn't the sort of thing you're going to iron onto, so we're switching out for premium vinyl this time around and using the transfer tape method. The only differences to remember in your prep work is to keep mirror image off, and also this time around you want the shiny side up on your cutting mat. The Cricut is still going to do the same precise cuts for you, but this time when you're doing the weeding process, the image is actually left on this white backing. I know it's kind of hard to see since I was using white vinyl as well. So in order to get it off this backing sheet and onto our badge, we need to use some transfer tape. So I'm taking this clear piece and placing it over the desired image. And with my scraping tool and a relatively firm hand, I'm making sure that it is really stuck on there. That way you should be able to peel off that white backing sheet and your design left stuck to your clear transfer tape, which you can then place on whatever your desired surface is. And by using that same scraper tool once again, you should be left with your final product. I followed those same steps for the remainder of my badges and then attached them to the bag. I felt like it was still missing a little something, so I decided to decorate one of my favorite photo cards of Yoongi, and I think attaching that to the top of the bag with a bow was exactly what I was looking for. This one isn't as much of a statement stylized piece per se, but I do still think it's really, really cute and a nice way to just show a bit of your personality in such an everyday item. You guys know I've been really into wearing leg warmers for a couple of years now, but I'm not always in the mood for like the scrunchy sort of style. Sometimes I prefer more of just like a flared leg, and I've been seeing some on Pinterest, Depop, TikTok recently, and I'm like, you know what, that literally looks like someone has just cut a sweater. But I didn't have any sweaters that I was willing to chop up. However, I did have pants that I literally never wear because I'm not a big fan of ones that have the elastic at the bottom. I just don't find it very flattering on me, so I never end up reaching for them. So my plan is to actually use the bottom elastic part as the top of the leg warmer around the knee. I think this is gonna work out really, really well. I'm actually very excited, and obviously you could just leave it as that. But something I wanted to try probably for the cream pair is actually doing Draken's tattoo along one leg. I've seen this done on pants similar to the Jujutsu Kaisen ones I did last time, but I didn't have any pants I was willing to sacrifice, so I thought why not do it in this form? I'll probably get more wear out of it anyway because I literally am always wearing leg warmers. I think we're all well aware of my love for this show, or not even so much the show. I definitely prefer reading the manga. I don't know, I feel like the art style kind of brings it down a little bit when it comes to the animation. So if you have also been a victim of heartbreak via this manga, feel free to start a support group in the comments. I feel like I'm always left crying. To be honest, that probably doesn't even mean much coming from me because I cry over practically anything. Literally, I know super late to the party, but I just started watching Bleach recently, and episode 3, I was bawling my eyes out. I don't know, I almost feel like there are kins that I probably come across as to other people, and then other characters that I feel deep in my soul I relate to, and sometimes they can be so polarizing to one another that the list just doesn't make sense and I end up throwing it away. But I definitely do feel like a good representation of me would be Mitsuya from Tokyo Revengers. To be honest, just because he is kind of boring, isn't he? He's a bit bland. If he wasn't there, would people really notice? Not really. But you know, he's still pretty well liked, he's into fashion, so I feel like it works. Other ones would be Mafu from Given, Hachi from Nana, like I mentioned earlier, Sugawara from Haikyuu, but also I always feel like I relate to Kenma until I remember how important he is to the team, which again, could never be me. So I feel like if that's the case, I'm probably more of a kunami-kin. That makes sense, right? Ooh, the uchihas, of course. I often feel like I relate more to Itachi because literally the worst communication skills you could possibly come across. But also, of course, there is Sasuke's iconic line, which, by the way, could someone explain to me how there are so many Kurapika-kins but not Sasuke-kins? Because to me, they're one and the same. Another one where I don't feel like I necessarily kin the character, but there's a particular scene that I'm like, oh my god, that is actually me, is Krona from Soul Eater when Maka comes and ruins his circle he's drawn in the sand. Oh my god, it felt like a personal attack. Originally, I was just gonna let this one go with the flow because you guys are familiar with the process by now, but as you can see, the design is slightly too large for the leg, and this was actually intentional because I wanted it to have the effect of wrapping around. So in order to still get the perfect application, I separated it into 2 parts. Once that was complete and I was able to pull the plastic off, I just shimmied the pant leg around and then lined up the rest of the image. Really, the only thing you need to remember is to hang on to that plastic that we just peeled back because you will want to use it as a protective layer just in case the easy press is still overlapping to that area. You don't want direct heat on it. This turned out so cool in my opinion, and if I was in the Tokyo Revengers universe, I definitely would be making these for Emma. I'm so happy with how everything turned out, and I can't stress enough how professional everything looks with literally minimal brain power, which I love. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know which were your favorites. I mean, you've already got like 100 questions to answer from my rambling though. Hopefully I will chat to you in the comments, but also see you guys next time. Bye!